there's a notion that, okay, women do not want to participate in politics. No, women want to participate in politics, but it's the space and how toxic it is that makes them stay away. You would see, if you're a female member of parliament and you are spotted in a certain joint with someone, whether that person is known to be a spouse or a friend, that would make sensation in the internet.
Yes.
We need our men at the center of this conversation.
Yes.
Because violence is not just happening in women only. There are women and men, women, men, you see?
Yes.
We have elected people through a popular vote, and we have specially elected members. And you will always find certain quarters of elected members who want to rub it on your face like, you are nominated. That's in a manner to make you feel like, you shouldn't be here. What people forget, you might want to dismiss my contribution, but your daughter the next day will either go to a certain workplace and be denied a platform because of the same. So the moment people get to the realization that this can actually get to your doorstep, look, even the people who body shame other people online, those are some of the reasons why people are going to extremes, because they want approval from the general public.
Hello and welcome to Democracy Pulse. Democracy Pulse is powered by the Oslo Center, and today we are focusing on the dialogue series on the 16 days of activism. I am your host, Angel Mbuthia, and our theme today is advancing gender inclusive governance, policy reforms, and collaborative action to end gender-based violence. And today I am joined by Mheshimiwa Esther Nyaguita.
Nyaituga. Yes.
Mheshimiwa Esther Ekenyuri, aka Nyaituga, and nominated senator in the 4th Senate. I am very excited to read your bio and learn that you are a student leader at Masai Mara University.
Very right.
Once a comrade, always a comrade.
Always one.
Mheshimiwa, karibu sana. Please give us a brief overview of yourself.
Thank you, Angel. I'm happy to also meet you. I think I've seen you from a distance, especially when we were under the umbrella of Kenya Female University student leaders with their Irene Kendi and the rest.
Wonderful.
So my name is Esther Ekenyuri Anyeni, also known as and widely known as Nyaituga. Nyaituga is a Kisii name of symbolizing shelter. Also on the other side, if you look at it, you can see in some of my logo that I've come up with, even on this lapel pin, you can see a mother bird that is feeding nestlings with a belief that at some point they'll grow their own wings and fly. So I serve in the Senate as a nominated senator. I'm the vice chairperson of the Trade Committee. I'm a member of the Health Committee and the Powers and Privileges Committee. And finally, the founder of Esther Ekenyuri Nyaituga Foundation, that is largely engaging in charity work, but with preference in academic area. Yeah.
Wonderful, Mheshimiwa. Nice to meet you. And today we are having a great conversation and marking the 16 days of activism and having these gender-based violence conversations. We've had different quarters try to define gender-based violence, what it is all about. I'd like to hear from you, your perspective, from where you sit. What do you understand, or what do you make of gender-based violence?
First, from where I sit, especially now, I'm largely in the political space. Before I actually came into this space, I was a technical person. So this is also another bit. So I have an experience of both the professional side and the political side. But I would say we experience a lot of violence in the political space, especially for me as a woman. And this comes in many setups. First, even marginalization in itself. Look at the cyberbullying, look at physical attacks. And these are ways that are actually implemented by opponents or people. They can also be people of the same gender or the other gender. To ensure that they put you away from participating in the politics. There's a notion that, okay, women do not want to participate in politics. No, women want to participate in politics, but it's the space and how toxic it is that makes them stay away. You would see, if you're a female member of parliament and you are spotted in a certain joint with someone, whether that person is known to be a spouse or a friend, that would make sensation in the internet.
Yes.
But if it were a male counterpart, that discussion would not even feature anywhere. In any case, they'd even be glorified more. So for me, in the political space, violence largely, especially for women, in this generation now, what we are seeing is cyberbullying. And there are, in extreme cases, we have physical attacks. And physical attacks even come from opponents or sometimes the voters themselves who have been hired by certain quarters to ensure that they frustrate you who has either political ambitions or who's pushing certain agenda which is not very favorable to the existing status quo. So that those would be my views on that area.
Yes.
And largely that is what makes very many women stay away, especially from the politics. On the professional side, I'm not saying that is very clean also.
Yeah.
We have organizations which have very toxic environments, whereby for even a woman to thrive or rise to a certain position, so many other things come in. You saw the case of the Kericho tea estates where women were actually being requested for, forced, not even requested for sexual favors. You know, it shouldn't be about my orientation. It shouldn't be about what I can offer sexually, what tokens. It should be about merit. If I've qualified to be in a certain position, why don't you just give it? It's not about you getting the position because you're a woman.
Yes.
So such toxic environments largely contribute to most women wishing to take a back seat and not participate in most of these processes. And it's really sad, especially for the political processes. I normally say people who do not want to participate in politics end up being governed by people they never wanted.
Yes.
So if you say, okay, politics is dirty, you do not want to get into it, but the politicians are making life and death decisions on your behalf.
Yes.
So you just need to participate in these processes.
Yes.
Whether your voice is considered now or later, your voice needs to be heard. Eventually, there will be very many more noises that might drown the voices of those who do not want to hear you. Yeah.
And Senator, how would you say, what would you say the perpetrators of gender-based violence, what excuse do they make to continue that conversation or to promote that kind of action?
Okay, now I saw a certain post going around online where a certain member of county assembly is alleging that nominated members, both in National Assembly and Senate, in the county assemblies, are product of sexual favors. You see, that is an easy line to say, but on the other side, they shut their eye to the fact that nomination is also an election in itself. People work very hard in respective parties to earn their slots for nomination, because nomination is an affirmative position that should help you transit to an elective platform in the future or venture into other avenues. So some of these people take advantage of such similar statement I've given you and say it over and over again so that it actually comes out as a certain truth which doesn't exist. You'll hear them say, okay, women want a lot of money and they want the money from the men, you see? That's also another line which is being used, especially with our dear young girls who are in campuses.
Yeah.
While I say we come from different backgrounds, in terms of wealth, it also becomes tricky to balance between human beings having wants that they need to be satisfied. Whom are they getting them from? Sometimes in the process of wanting to get support in that manner, you fall in the wrong hands. Our girls are falling in love, that is. You end up falling for someone whom you think, okay, it's someone who you can confide in.
Yes.
But it comes out to be, okay, that was not the case. Others take advantage, and eventually those are the cases you're seeing ending up to kill people because of emotional imbalances. They're not able to handle frustrations or being dumped or being left, you see?
Yes.
So we need to bring up a society where both the girls and boys know, when we talk about being gender inclusive or gender issues, this is not a war against men. We need to bring up boys who know they should coexist with the girls. You are actually a better man when you include a woman in your space than when you want to do it alone. So even to the men who would be listening to this, following this conversation, I would really want to encourage them to be part of these processes, because the conversation on this has been overemphasized. But why does it appear like we are speaking to deaf ears? It's because it appears like it's a woman affair. We want the men to lead this conversation also. By explaining, if it's a father explaining to your son, your sister is actually part of your existence. And in an eventuality, you grow up there and you get married. This is how you need to look at your wife. If we have men leading such conversation, men champions.
Yes.
But you see now, it looks like it's one voice. It's women who are just speaking. That's why maybe the men are taking a back seat and they're like, okay, this is a woman thing.
And Senator, do you think that the society maybe is giving people pressure to stay in marriages and relationships where people are not able to speak out because people are saying that, yes, this has been going on, but they've not had proper avenues to be able to speak it out? What is your take on that?
You're right. Society especially has double expectations on women. It's politically correct for a man candidate to insult a woman, especially on the sexual angle, and they'll get away with it. But if you do the same, it will be like, okay, this woman does not even respect herself. What kind of woman are we dealing with? You see?
Yes.
So you see, the eyes that society will look at you with are not the eyes society will look at the man. And generally, Kenya and even the community I come from is a conservative society. So we've been brought up knowing, yes, the father is the head of the family, and men most likely make major decisions on behalf of the family, or in many setups we have, even in political spaces. Look at the political parties. Majority of the political parties are owned by men. So you're already going to a space which is controlled by men. So if you pursue this as a war against men, you lose even before you begin.
Yes.
So you have to find a way that you can blend in, even with those realities, but you slowly penetrate through that space. So for society, those things have been going on for a very long time. In fact, other communities have normalized it. And people will not come out because, like now, you're in a marriage, you already have 4 children. How are you going to, a typical ordinary woman would put the interest of the children forward and be like, okay, if I leave, what happens to these children? Maybe the woman has no job. The sole provider of that family is the husband. So in such a case, the woman would not look at herself. She'll put forward the children and saying, okay, because of my children, I won't be able to live. And what will people say? You know, what will people say has made many women stagnate where they are, like forever. I think a lot of sensitization really needs to happen. Not at the top. We need to start this from the family
The
level.
family level, yes.
If you have given birth to children, please try and educate your children so that they learn from their formative age, you know, because if you fail to do that, these are the children who end up in some of these sects, get into a lot of drug abuse, and they're not able to tolerate any reasonable kind of argument, and they would even engage to those extreme areas of killing people. Yeah, apart from having that sensitization from the grassroots level, we need to have the male champions, I said.
Yes.
Really male champions. Even when I attend funerals, I tell people we need our men at the center of this conversation.
Yes.
Because violence is not just happening in women only. There are women and men, women, men, you see?
Yes.
But with the recent happenings, we surely need men at the center of this conversation so that maybe they'll give an alternative voice. Because we are speaking,
yes,
and if we are not careful, it might turn out to be like it is a radicalization exercise we are doing for women against men, which is not the spirit of inclusive governance. That's what I would say.
I think then we should have a presser made by fathers of daughters.
Yes,
because
that would make news.
That would make
but
news.
But see, anytime I hear comments,
yes,
sometimes you're in certain quarters and maybe somebody doesn't know who you are, they'll make certain comments.
Yes.
And you hear them say, okay, this is just those normal things of gender, you know.
Yeah, the same
they
gender.
Are used to those conversations.
Yes. Now, Mheshimiwa, I think about 10 years ago, I think we witnessed a woman rep being slapped by the governor. And, you know, that's the same political environment you're in. In the work that you have been doing, have you ever experienced something or someone crossed the line, or did you witness that, and what did you do?
Let me tell you, by the way, such kind of marginalization or discrimination does not just happen out here. It even happens in parliament itself. I've given you an example that in parliament, we have elected people through a popular vote, and we have specially elected members. And you will always find certain quarters of elected members who want to rub it on your face, like, you know, you are nominated. That's in a manner to make you feel like, you know, you shouldn't be here. You're just here because of tokenism, right? But you see, when you know what you actually went to parliament to do, when you know who you are, you do not let such words to get into your system. In the initial stages, you might actually be like, okay, why do they think so? But as time goes by, you become very immune to those comments. And I would want to tell people who are joining this political space, you have to be very immune to the kind of insults which come your way. But be very slow to react on every other thing that happens to you. Sometimes you're even better off if you ignore that person, like they do not even exist. They'll be like, okay, Kwani, Ekenyuri didn't see me, you see. So those toxic environments are right even in parliament. But because we came to parliament from different areas, different parties, different beliefs. You just stick to your agenda. Eventually, even the ones who keep repeating that line, it loses taste. Because if it's legislating, you're even doing better than they are doing. The only other angle is challenging you that you're not elected by a popular vote, which I personally am very comfortable in the space I am in. I acknowledge this is an affirmative position to help me transit to another level. So that we give space to also other people who are growing to shape their leadership and, you know, show the public what they're capable of doing. Had I not been given this platform, even the people who discuss me right now maybe would never have known this side of me. You see? So people would always want to rotate around those lines, but I would want to encourage, especially the women who are joining this space, let them join as much as they can. People will always have something to say about you. Even when you do good things, they will look for that one bad thing and they'll make it all over, amplify it all over in the media. So you're doomed if you do, you're doomed if you don't. So just do what you really want to do. Yeah.
And Mheshimiwa, what have you had in the house and you got scared and it got to hit you like this thing actually happens? What was the first time you experienced or you saw it happen?
No, sometimes, okay, recently, let me just give it didn't get me scared, but it got me thinking.
Yes.
I thought you guys have people who have gone to school and even way older than me.
Yes, that's very.
So there has been a talk for Senate Oversight Fund, and there are quotas, especially from the elected section, who feel, okay, even we who are specially elected shouldn't get, because we are specially elected, we don't represent counties.
Okay.
So the manner in which someone argues, like, okay, those guys are just nominated, what else do they do? Come on. And whoever is speaking that way is like 30 years older than you. This person should even be guiding you in this process. They are well-read, more experienced than probably I am.
Yeah.
But they can utter such statements. Some will say that's politics, fine. But you see, those are some of the situations we are in. For someone who has a very, faint, what can I say, who gets affected easily, such words can really drown you. So you need to be defiant, especially to statements which want to reduce your personality. Those ones, don't listen to them. Eventually they'll ship out if they do not like you.
Yes.
And slowly, in the first year, you interact with everybody. As years progress, you now start narrowing down to the people whom your interests align with. That's what happens. And I think eventually that's what even determines who will be re-elected back, who will go home, who will move to the next level, so many other things. Yeah.
But Mheshimiwa, I'm sure with the work you've been doing, you've been able to see different countries and be in different parts of the world. How would you compare Kenya on the global map in terms of women's advancement in the political environment, and even relating that with gender-based violence? Where would you put Kenya on the map?
Oh, okay. We are not yet there, but there has been political goodwill on this. I must actually say it, and I do not say it because I'm nominated from that side of the party.
Yes,
but our current president has really had goodwill, especially in advancing women issues. And I think some time back, if you remember, the Chief Justice then had advised that Parliament be dissolved because of the failure to meet the two-third gender rule. The president then had picked it up and sent a memoranda to the speakers of the two houses on the same, meaning there's already political goodwill. And you can see this time also we had quite a good number of women who are nominated to the different county assemblies. I think where we might not be doing very well is on getting women elected.
Okay.
You see?
Yes.
Because this nomination, appointment, you serve at the pleasure of the appointing authority. So if next time you have someone else who does not have the interest of seeing why we need a woman voice in a decision-making table, they can go ahead and appoint all men. But speaking for my case of Parliament, for sure, I really would wish to have a society that elects more women. It's not just about the numbers, it's also about the quality. I think there are spaces where women have really done well. We should ride on such women who have done very well to bring up more other, a bigger crop of women to go for elective positions. Because politics is the heart of everything. Whether you do not want to participate in it, when reality hits you, these guys make decisions on your behalf.
Yes.
And if we do not have women in that space, it's very sad sometimes we have a table of men discussing women issues.
Yes.
It would be more merrier if we had women in there giving their perspective of what these women issues they're discussing about are. You see. And there has been statistics showing where we have women leadership, especially at the top, there has been tremendous progress. Especially look even in the private sector. So if we encourage such kind of engagements and action points, I think at some point we will eventually get there. Of course, not now.
Yes.
But we will eventually get there. Just like before I came in, we were like, okay, the kind of voters we have right now, they're starting to get exposed and informed. So I'm very optimistic that as we keep going by, the change might not come with me or my generation of leaders, but the ones who are coming now will come up following the footsteps of the slow change that is happening. Because even in those countries that have made it, it started way back.
Yeah.
You see, Africa has its share of challenges. Kenya, in that space, we have different issues that are competing. We have to fight poverty, disease, ignorance, and here we have the gender conversation. So, like so many things, we have to strike a balance that is chewing gum as we walk.
Yeah. And Mheshimiwa, you can even see even the United States having a very heated conversation about women having their reproductive rights being taken. That decision is being taken away from them. And there's a lot of conversations about that. And even here in Kenya, we are having these femicide cases. What's up with society? Why is society slowly embracing women or not embracing women as fast as it should be or as fast as we'd expect?
It's because of how we are. When I began, I said we are a more conservative society, largely patriarchal, because men, from how the society is formed, men make major decisions at home, at work, in the political space. That is the reality. And this is the reality. I would want women to first agree with that reality. You see, the moment you agree that this is how things are, you now devise mechanisms of wanting to slowly penetrate in there, of which there have been very many mechanisms, like that memoranda I've told you.
Yes.
Angel, you realize you can't win a war when you keep saying, okay, this is happening because we are women.
No.
That line is where we get beaten, because people are like, okay, this we're always pulling a gender card.
Yes.
Anything happens when anything happens. But if we have something objective, like I'm telling you, even in parliament, passing this 2/3 gender thing has become difficult. Why? It's because our male counterparts perceive this like we are out to finish men.
Yes.
But had we had goodwill from some of the male legislators who are even pushing for this, because I would want to urge, especially our male counterparts, look at this as your wife, your mother, your sister. Don't look at that member of parliament you're seeing there as just any other person you're seeing. Your daughter is growing up and she might be in that similar space you do not want to, So if we look at it that way objectively, and a lot of sensitization I've told you needs to happen, because those who do not have a problem with this issue, when you look at their background, is either they are very well traveled, exposure is very high, so they do not see a problem with having a woman in their space.
Yes.
And by the way, every other person has a contribution they make. Why don't we look at what blend would come up with a very equal contribution of men and contribution of women? But when they want to look at it like it's a war against men, there we lose it. And on that one, I normally disagree with the feminists because it's not a war against them. We just need to have male champions who convince the rest of them that please, now we are in a new era. So many things are changing. The things we thought our girls wouldn't do are now doing. The boys are doing the same. So we carry the two so that we do not overemphasize this conversation on one area and forget the others. Who, like I've said, like now we are really talking a lot about the girls. There are quarters who are saying, then what happens to the boys? And our society, like I've said, it's the male people who make major decisions. Slowly, I think there is progress, even if it looks little, but progress. Because let me take my case. People say, okay, what's wrong with Kisii people that they can't elect women? You see, that's people are always asking. And I tell them, come on, there's nothing wrong with Kisii people. It just depends with what you're bringing on the table. Because I don't think Kisii people just do not want to elect women. Here we are, and slowly I get feedback from the work I do. And the feedback I get majorly is even older men. Those ones whom I expect to hate women. They're telling me, oh, we heard what you were saying about the protection of livelihood bill or the civic education bill. That's a very good thing. And this feedback, I'm not even getting it on phone. You go to a funeral in a certain area and an old muzee tells you, oh, Nyaituga, I heard what you were saying yesterday. So we are doing quite well, especially in changing. It's not like before whereby you would stand in a podium and people like sit. Right now, I can stand in a podium in Kisii and express myself. And people will listen to me, whether they elected me or not. At least there is that tolerance of wanting to hear then, okay, what does this woman have to say? You see, if we have such kind and we have more women who are coming to this space, then we'll have a huge voice. But you see, why are we leaving this space to just few people? It shouldn't be Nyaituga only speaking. Let us have Angel speaking. Let us have Jane speaking. Like, we can't be ignored. Women are the majority. We just need to devise a strategy there. And the strategy is not fighting men. Because we are the majority. If we surely wanted, we would control the two houses of parliament. So lazima tujite mkutano. We see the way to go around this so that we can have many women elected, not nominated. There is power in some, when you are elected, you have a kitty, you can do tangible development for people. And they judge you on your track record, not on these other side shows of sexual issues, of CG, where you come from, you see? So far, we have many, we have a good number of women who are now elected as governors. We have others as members of county assembly. We have senators. That's the only way the women voice can make meaningful contribution. Because if you nominate and we are not looking at how many are coming back elected. It's like just going through the cycle over and over again.
Mheshimiwa, it's always a pleasure speaking to you. As we wind up the conversation, I would want to hear your call to action to the people of Kenya or to the society on these very key issues that we've discussed, on gender-based violence, on ensuring that we have more women participating in politics, on closing the intergenerational gaps that you have pointed out. What is your call to action, and what do you also want to tell that young man or young woman who wants to be like you?
First, we already have laws that have been enacted. Maybe for parliament, that's speaking on the parliament side, we just need more stricter, maybe amendments on some of those already existing laws. and look at enforcement.
Yes.
You see, in this country, we can make laws, but enforcement is a whole other story. Like I've said, that's the only way we can deal with some of these perpetrators of these acts. And for the ones who are already affected, we need to offer emotional support. I saw the president, I think less than 2 weeks ago, talking about his commitment, and already there is resources towards the same, especially on the GBV, the campaign against gender-based violence. So I'm looking at concerted efforts along that line, so that we address these issues not just once, but slowly.
Yes.
And the other issue is traditionally, we need to create awareness among the men and the women to know this conversation does not just affect women. We need a society where both men and women know their roles, how they can blend their strengths and come up with better products other than kila mara kukandamiza jinsia moja. You know?
Yes.
Because then we lose. You see what people forget. You might want to dismiss my contribution, but your daughter the next day will either go to a certain workplace and be denied a platform because of the same. So the moment people get to the realization that this can actually get to your doorstep, look, even the people who body shame other people online.
Yes.
You know, those are some of the reasons why people are going to extremes, because they want approval from the general public. If we had done enough sensitization at family level, as I tell you, once your child values how they look, who they are, no amount of negative comments can bring them down. Yes. Their self-esteem will shoot above the roof.
Yes.
And it's not just about their self-esteem. We just need to be content with who we are and close your ears to negative voices. Because there are people also who want to tell you, okay, you can't do this, but them themselves have never done or are not even close to what you're doing. So if you listen also largely to what people say, you end up not doing any other thing. And this one especially is for the young girl right now. We need to have constructive engagements so that even in these spaces, we start having a huge number of those girls coming on board. Because there's a generational shift if you look at issues very well.
Yes.
But we do not want this to happen and we do not have replacements. So I would want to encourage very many young girls, even the ones who are in campus, go run for those elective positions in the student union, because it's a breeding hub for national leadership.
Yes.
It will become very difficult for you to get into national leadership if you're not interacting at that level where you are in. And you know, politics as it is in this country, survival for the fittest.
Yes.
So we do not want you to survive and be only the fittest getting in. We want to make this space conducive, open as possible, so that you have mentors to even borrow a leaf from. And you don't even have to, because you follow me, you don't have to join me in the party I am in. Be active wherever your interests you feel they are catered for. But at the end of the day, you are a different person from where you are. So gender-based violence is a conversation, and I want to really emphasize we need male champions.
Yes.
You see, when the campaign for people to test for HIV came to Kenya, we had members of parliament actually testing for the first time and showing their status. And you see, after that, so many other people now normalized, you know, they say, okay, I can check my status and I know, you know. The same thing should happen to this. I can tell you, if we have men talking about this, we just have men champions, passionately rallying their own. Because men make decisions on behalf of family.
Yes.
So the same way they're able to make decisions on behalf of family, they're able to make this decision that we are not going to allow to be in a society where our boys are beating girls, are maiming girls, you know. That is not going to happen. I really want to close by saying that that's what I think we need to do differently.
Yes.
Because every other thing we're already doing.
Yes,
This is part of sensitization. We are talking to people. We want people to come out. We want people to be very aware of their rights. So that if something happens to you, you're not just keeping quiet. Speak up. It might be too late, but there is a part that might be salvaged.
Yeah.
But let's change the conversation and have these men lead from the front.
Yes.
Because they are part of our existence, you know.
Yes.
Everywhere. You go, I'm telling you, go to a political party, they're the ones who are there.
Yes.
You go to an organization, they're the same people who are there.
Yes.
You come out here, they're the same people who are reading the sermon for you.
Yes.
So how do you want to make it a war against them and win?
Yes.
We have to change strategy. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Mheshimiwa.
Thank you.
Esther Ekenyuri, Nyaituga.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much for being with us today. This has been Democracy Pulse, powered by the Oslo Center. I have been your host, Angel Mbuthia. Thank you for tuning in.